Hello, welcome to Framework. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as always, is John Bernard.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm a little enervated from seeing Wakanda Forever. You know, it's not a bad movie or anything.
No.
But it is long and sort of funereal throughout.
Of course, it would have to be. You would think.
Okay. Yes, we've known it was going to be for a long time. Like they decided to lean right into that, but I don't think that means it had to be that way. Like recasting was an option, however quickly they discarded it.
Yeah, well, once that decision was made, it had to be.
Right.
I think it is a pretty open question whether that was the right thing or not. Yeah, I mean, that's the main question with this movie, right?
I think so.
Like, should they have just recast it? Like, it sucks. It's terrible to lose Chadwick Boseman. He was such a charismatic, such a fascinating actor, and exactly the kind of guy that you need at the center of something like this to make it feel personal and make it feel less like a monolithic product. You know, that's sort of one of the things the MCU has been best at is finding really compelling, charismatic avatars to carry these things along. You know, people just were really well hired. You know, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., of course, but that was kind of true of like everybody.
Chris Hemsworth, Tom Holland, all of the main white guys, you know, and Chadwick Boseman definitely falls in that category. I'm not sure that Letitia Wright and Shuri do quite fall into that category.
No,
my money.
No. Talk about a character that is perfectly deployed as a supporting character.
Yes,
that was overwhelmingly what I was thinking. What a strong supporting ensemble the first Black Panther had. And this new film, despite its many compelling, interesting, solid execution, a lot of good things about this movie, it does have a hole in the center of it, and it's just unmistakable.
Yes. Now, here's my thing. Okay. Setting aside whether they should have or could have recast, once you're not going to do that, I then think that you're right. There's a hole in the center of this movie that you have to fill in. I mean, luckily, they have this great supporting cast from the first movie to draw on and to fill that in. However, my main detraction from this movie is I think they leaned on the elements that I would not have chosen or that I do not like the most. So this is Shuri's movie and entirely, and then the main supporting characters are Okoye and Angela Bassett's Ramonda. Now, I in my desire, the supporting characters that would have been drawn to the center of this would have been Nakia and M'Baku, who both are shunted off to the side of this movie, even at 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I was really struck during this. I was like, why didn't they just make Lupita Nyong'o the lead? Why?
Right, I know. I don't get it.
Why did you just not do that? It would have been so obvious. And I know that narratively, and I know that this is a monarchy, and there's a patrilineal descendant. You know, that she is the heir. She is, she is the Rhaenyra of this story in some ways. She sure is.
Yeah, but it's she was the wife of the last king, right? I mean, or
no, she's the sister. She's part of that.
No, I mean Nakia is
exactly.
You could fudge that.
You could have done
easily.
Something. Yeah. It wouldn't have been hard. You could have made it happen. I mean, honestly, if this movie had been about Lupita Nyong'o versus M'Baku, that would have been pretty cool. Honestly, it would have been,
they could have a bit of rivalry, but they have to unite against Namor. That's would
have been cool too. Yeah,
and I think Okoye is actually a good character as well, who I would have wanted in a similar, I guess, level of prominence to this movie. However, they chose to completely ignore what I think is the most interesting, fertile, dramatic ground of that character, which is that she and her husband ended up on the opposite sides of the Civil War last time, and they're at odds. And we don't get any Daniel Kaluuya in this. He gets a passing mention that he's still in jail, in Wakanda jail. Okay. So now, not only are we down Chadwick Boseman, we're down to two things I'm most interested in are also not factors in this movie. So
that is a bewildering choice. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like this movie was to some extent on rails, and they were just like, we have a release calendar here. We have a phase 4 to complete here. We have to introduce Namor for whatever's going to happen next. We have to do this. And so a movie that you would think would get punched at least a little while on, and completely rewritten anyway. Because this feels like a movie that should star T'Challa. This feels like a story that would have him versus Namor, and that would be the premise.
Well, there is a theory that I've seen kicked around that this was, originally going to take place during the blip and be about sort of Shuri as an interim leader there. But I mean, you could do a version of that. I don't know that it would be better. I mean, I don't think it would be, but I don't know. Do we care about where this slots into the grander scheme of Marvel at this point?
I think they do. I think that is at the front of their mind. I think that honestly, this seems like a business as usual regular movie. Aside from the loss of Boseman, it is, it doesn't really. This is aiming for sort of a B tier entry in the MCU. I feel like with its Namor. What are the I forget the name of the civilization. Talokan, Tekoya.
I don't. Yeah, they're not calling it Atlantis for some reason.
Yeah, the Atlanteans. Yeah,
I guess they wanted to sound more Incan because I mean that's a sort of a cool angle I think they have there. Sort of Western Hemisphere. I mean it's very much an underwater equivalent to Wakanda.
I was surprised how literal it is a 1-to-1 to Wakanda. Like it is a hidden society from sort of a culture that has disappeared. Era. Yeah, pre-colonial disappeared culture that is rich in vibranium.
Right.
And it is hiding that from the rest of the world, and it is led by this sort of charismatic Hamlet figure, son, all-powerful king Namor, that basically is a mirror to T'Challa. So yes. Clearly that is, if there is an intention there, it is to put him up against T'Challa. I mean, that seems like the main thing that they're doing by including Namor at all in this story.
I mean, sure, but that's actually what this story is about. In terms of like broader franchise maintenance, I think it's notable how there's not really any like Fantastic Four in this movie. No, that Latveria doesn't even get name checked. We'll see what the, Namor's nation, how that factors into things going forward. But I don't know. We're going to get mutants soon. I mean, I guess they did name check that he's a mutant in addition to being a vibranium powered, wet panther. But
yeah,
but that stuff is not really brought in. So this does, I mean, it feels the Black Panther duology now sub franchise does still feel a little hermetically sealed from the broader MCU. I mean, it's cool when it pops up in Infinity War and Endgame, but these movies, I don't know. They certainly compared to a Spider-Man or the recent Doctor Strange, or Thor, even like they feel like they're kind of doing their own thing more.
Kind of, but I don't know. What is the thematic benefit of this society that is so close to Wakanda in so many ways? But the movie is about them at odds and warring together. It does expand the MCU, and it's like, okay, well, we have Atlantis too, or some whatever version of Atlantis and Aquaman, but like, what does it do for the Wakanda narrative, for the Black Panther films, or whatever this particular side of the franchise is? I don't know that it builds on anything. It kind of has the shape of saying something, but I don't know what it actually gets by having these direct parallels to Wakanda in its antagonistic force. Like, what is the movie about? I guess is what I'm struggling with a little bit.
Okay, it's about grief, is what that sort of overrides everything else because it's so much more real, and so this is the other thing about the Black Panther movies is that and the first Black Panther movie especially, what I think is so great about that one is that it's quote unquote important as a Marvel movie can get, and about as self-serious as a Marvel movie can get, in my opinion. And it's not like overly serious. It's not it's not even like Daniel Craig James Bond reboot like level of of angst or whatever, but it's just it's not as jokey, and it it took on this cultural importance sort of after the fact, after it was made, which allows it to wear that mantle, I guess, a little more lightly and comfortably. And this movie sort of has to reckon with that going in, that it's got that baggage behind it now, even before Chadwick Boseman dies, which then puts this whole other layer on top of it. And it's hard to wear that as comfortably or as nimbly as the first movie.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate that. I don't know, in my mind, aside from the dealing with Boseman aspect of this film, they were just doing some comic book stuff here. Maybe it's good that it doesn't have to have some massive geopolitical point. That it can just be like, no, well, they're going to fight the Atlanteans this time. I've never said what the actual word is. It's not the Kukulun.
Tenoctitlan or something. It's I don't know.
Atlanteans.
I mean, it's. You hear people are speaking in, I guess, ancient Incan or whatever,
Mesoamerica,
whenever they say it too. So I see it spelled out on screen, but don't really catch the pronunciation ever. So anyway, whatever. Apologies to any Mesoamericans that are offended by our diction. And so one thing I'd appreciate about this movie, though, is that there was no, I guess, circling directly against what I said earlier, that there is no Doctor Doom dropping it in the third act. And it's not, Namor and Black Panther have to team up to fight, I don't know, Mole Man or whatever their thing is.
I was very happy there was not a surprise third act villain reveal like that. Yeah. No, Namor's the bad guy. We're fighting Namor.
This is a conflict between these two people, and they're going to fight it out. And so I appreciate that too. The action itself, not as good as the first movie, where it was not really a high point of that movie either.
I agree. I saw people saying that this is improved action, and I'm like, no, it isn't. This is
no. I mean,
this is pretty regular action.
Maybe I went to a bad theater or something, but there was a lot of nighttime action here where I just could not in the theater tell what was going on. It was just dark and blurry. The way way everybody complained about the big battle in Game of Thrones being just indecipherable blur.
I mean, the Game of Thrones one had at least you could tell, even as it wasn't working, that they were trying something stylistically. They were going for a thing, and I don't see anything that they're going for here. My favorite semi-action scene, I guess, is the first real attack of the Mer people, which is kind of staged like a horror movie. Bell. Yeah, and jumping onto the boat, and you're just like, we're doing that. Okay, and I like with them the siren song out in the water.
The siren song is a cool thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could use one more beat of that of like back and forth, them figure something a little more than earplugs to to turn that around. I don't know. The underwater people themselves, the mer people themselves, like I said, cool look. With the one exception, all right, we'll talk about Namor here. Namor is not somebody on the page that I ever was happy to see.
No.
He was always one of my very least favorite MCU, or not MCU, I guess, but Marvel characters, original flavor.
For sure.
So I was in no particular rush to be like, oh man, I can't wait to see Namor the Submariner on screen. Like, I could have waited quite a while. But they did a really good job with him, I think. Overall, they made him a compelling character. They didn't sand down his rough edges, just letting him be fully the antagonist of this movie. While not taking him so far that he can't be an ally against Doctor Doom later on.
They handled him quite well, actually. Good,
with one
character.
exception. Just the wings on the ankles. They did not need to make the translation from page to screen. It looks so stupid.
Well, I mean, I for as stupid as those inherently are, I thought they were okay. It allows him to jump around. He can jump around a lot.
But he's immune to whatever. People can fly in this universe. It's fine. You can just fly. Or you know what? You could have extendable, not gills, but fin flaps. I don't know. But
little
you laugh
expanses.
Like that's stupid, but actual wings on his ankles, like he's freaking Hermes, the messenger of the gods, is less stupid.
Well, it's comic accurate, and that's what you want, really, in your Namor.
Speak for yourself, sir.
It's odd. It's almost a flex that they're using Namor. At this point, they're just like, you can just do Namor now. Whatever, who cares? They're going to throw everyone in. We're doing everybody. Ironheart's in this movie. You know who Ironheart is? Well, here,
no, and I still really do not care.
Oh man, yeah, like it's that's another corridor of this movie. I'm just like, you don't need to. Yeah, you don't need all that.
Just, and weirdly, like I said, all the supporting characters in the original movie worked, popped. Down to, even like to the point where I'm happy to see swole Martin Freeman again in this movie. Like, oh hey, it's you. Man, this one is just a total dud. Very much of the like America Chavez variety of just like, yeah, I guess you're in this scene. What like. I couldn't tell you a single really salient thing about your personality. That. I mean, no. Okay, tech genius that's got her own like garage full of homemade stuff. I don't know. I feel like MCU's got several of those. Lying around already.
I feel like that might have been a place for a character we already know. Might have been useful to pop up there. I don't know who exactly, but
I was racking my brain when they introduced her. Like, did they introduce her in a streaming series already? That I don't like. It kind of feels like we're missing a beat here of introducing her. This person is like there's like build up. I don't know. I guess at this point, maybe that's like the flex these days. It's just Marvel can just expect a chunk of the fans to be like, "Oh damn, it's Riri Williams," or is that even her name?
That's her name. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, they have Ironheart plans. That character has got a streaming series next year. She'll be around in other forms, I'm sure. Your various murder worlds and battle worlds and Kang dynasties.
Yeah. I don't know. That's I've heard the name Ironheart before, but it's not like anything I'm aware of. I haven't read comics in a while, but I still had an awareness of like who and what Kamala Khan was before that show came out.
Ironheart's like a legacy
Tony Stark. I gathered that much. Which we already have.
Yes, we do.
We've already got War Machine and
Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man is that, and Tony Stark has a daughter.
Yes. Who's definitely going to put on an Iron Man suit at some point.
Yeah.
They won't be able to help themselves. They cannot help putting kids making kids inherit the mantles. That's sort of a major storyline of Phase 4. Yeah.
Why are we having a brand new character that never met Tony Stark to inherit the Iron Man mantle in Black Panther 2? That just seems like a weird.
Yes, it does.
Maybe way of going about that.
Maybe just because they're just like, you know what, fuck it. She's not going to be really involved with Tony Stark in any way. We have enough characters that do that. So we'll just come up with some other backstory for her. I don't know enough about this character to tell you what that is or where that's going to pay off, but
it's another time after WandaVision where there's a lot of buildup about like a character cameo or whatever, where I'm like, oh, okay, so that's not going to be Reed Richards. Like,
right, yeah.
All the talk about the scientist, and who's the scientist? I'm like, I mean, there's a lot of, there could be a lot of people in the MCU, and the big one would be Reed Richards, or I don't know. I mean, hell, could be the Beast even, or whatever. But it was just a college freshman.
Especially if the rumors, if the rumors of who is playing Mr. Fantastic are true, that would have actually been a really good person to slot in there. I
don't even know if I know the rumors.
William Jackson Harper from The Good Place.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
That would this would be a good spot for that.
Yeah, that would have made a lot of sense. Oh well. Yeah. Who knows? They say he's an Ant-Man. What it'll be the same damn thing. It'll be like, oh, whatever. I guess he's just playing some other guy. Oh, I don't know. I don't care. They'll cast somebody as Reed Richards at some point, and it'll be underwhelming, and that's that.
I think it's fine. They'll cast the Fantastic Four well. I think whatever like reservations I've been building up over the course of Phase 4, I don't have any doubts that they will get the casting of that correct.
Did they have a director for that again? I forget. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Yeah, they will. It'll be fine.
I think I said like the actress who plays Ironheart too. I'm not saying that the casting is even the problem there.
No, not at all.
Impossible to tell because I don't feel like they gave her any character. It's not even like
hell. It could have been Shuri. I mean that doesn't really make sense.
You could have made it made sense.
Yeah, you could have made it
somewhere or another.
Yeah, like Shuri was the only one who has the technology or the understanding anymore after the death of Tony Stark. The only person on Earth who can do this thing is Shuri, And so she is who they are now after. And now Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o, has to take the herb and become the yes, there are ways they could have done this.
It's not even that much of a change to the story.
Nope.
Shuri left Wakanda when she was in mourning, and Nakia is trying to hold things together, but boom, done.
So yeah, Shuri did not work for me in this context. I think that's sort of my number one thing I would say about this movie, and I don't know how much this is influenced by Letitia Wright's antics. Probably not at all, though. I don't usually care about that sort of thing.
I don't think I care much about that, and I haven't paid much attention to it.
It's some anti-vax thing that I didn't pay total attention to. But I just think that it seemed like a different character in this. Shuri seemed like a different character, one tasked with portraying sort of the collective mourning of a nation for Chadwick Boseman, and as a result, kind of and also has to step into the superhero role, which she is not particularly suited for. I mean, I did not get the sense they were like, "This is our Black Panther going forward." I think that they seem to understand this is going to have to be a one-off.
I don't know. I got the sense that she was staying in the role.
You think? I don't know. They introduced T'Challa's son at the end.
Oh. Yeah, but he's not quite old enough to step up yet. I mean, granted, anything can happen in, I suppose, the MCU. But I don't know. I mean, where this movie leaves the story, she is maintaining the mantle of Black Panther until the next movie. I mean, it starts at least.
Right.
And
yeah.
So, which, I mean, maybe I should get into this. Like, what the Shuri character, like, why doesn't the Shuri character work in this central role? Whereas, I guess there's two possible prongs of that. Like, just, is the Shuri character inherently a supporting character and like struggles as to be the protagonist of an epic 2 hour and 40-minute action extravaganza, versus is the Shuri character suited to be the Black Panther protector of nation of Wakanda?
I mean, I think the answer to both of those things can be no. I think.
Well, maybe the first one I think could be pulled off, but I think it would require a stronger take on the inherent like challenge and conflict of her doing the second thing.
Right. Yes. This is the truth. That character. This didn't feel like a script written about Shuri, and it felt like Shuri was forced to step into the lead role because of circumstance, and into a script that was written for T'Challa. To me, that's what I seem to. They didn't have a take on all of her, on her having to step into the. I mean, basically the ruler of the nation as well as the superhero protector of it. That was sort of an afterthought. When that seems like, well, no, that would have to be the main thing the story's about. Because and she also just, she is a supporting character in that she was the comic relief. She was funny and brightened scenes up, like that was sort of the role she played. Yeah. She's great in the first movie. She's undeniably excellent in the first movie. And to the extent I get why they thought she could do this because she's so good in that. But
in that supporting role, that brings a flavor to it that the lead is not able to bring in that movie because of what his conflict is that he can't be happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah, and they took that from her in moving her to the center.
And I think the problem with that though is that all could be, I guess, fertile storytelling ground or whatever, but the script makes about one step towards reshaping the actual story to be about taking her out of that role and forcing her into this other role she's not suited for. But for whatever reason, whether it's just time, they didn't have enough time to flesh it out, or it's something with the performer wasn't comfortable or enthusiastic about doing this type of thing or whatever, or just the basic, they didn't want to deal with, accusations of, chauvinism or whatever, that they don't wrestle with the idea that, I mean, the challenge is like, can she recreate the herb to gain the Black Panther powers herself? But there's never any indication like, well, but was she also like,
Can she be a superhero and rule a country? Like,
yeah,
I mean,
T'Challa was learning karate his whole life, right? To be a soldier, and that was never her role. And there's no like challenge of like, okay, she has to be a different type of Black Panther. Or, like, maybe she has to rely on the Dora Milaje a little bit more for actual like spear fighting or whatever. But it's just like, well, no, she can kung fu fight Namor like as well as anybody. And it's like that's just a waste. That's just a waste of potential, dramatic potential of.
Yeah, I mean the main thing that I knew she would have no problem with is replicating the herb. Like that is well within Shuri's skill set as established in the first film. Like, of course she's the person who's going to do that. She's the number one person who's going to do that. This other stuff that she takes on as well on the side, much bigger challenge for the character as established, and probably much more dramatically compelling.
I think it should be. Yeah. That's I tend to like this, the type of storyline that has the side characters sort of forced to step up and take on the mantles that maybe they weren't suited for in the absence of the main guy. Like a lot of that.
Has this been pulled off successfully in something else? I feel like I have seen this and they did it. It might have done it in the MCU at some point.
I mean, it's tropes. I'd say that a lot of times it tends to be small little arcs within like larger like series, because the series always has to bring Captain America back and like eventually put Falcon back on the side or whatever the case may be, or just Robin can't take over for Batman permanently,
right?
But seeing Robin strain under the pressure of being Batman and dealing with the absence of Batman is to me more dramatically compelling than watching Batman be Batman in some ways. Because Batman is made for that. He does.
It's certainly a narrative avenue to explore. That's a thing to write and to I mean, I think you got to focus the movie around that, honestly. Like, I think that's got to be what it is. I think it's got to be like people doubting whether she can pull it off or not, Maybe Namor plays on that doubt, and is she up to the mantle and the role left by her brother that is inherently what this movie has to be about if they're going to go forward with it. And I think it kind of is, but not really.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anybody doubts that she's up to it. It's can her mom convince her to do it?
Yeah. Yes. She doubts that she can do it, I guess.
I guess so.
But
I guess that's what it is. I mean,
but everyone else is like, yep, totally. You can. And it turns out she can.
Yeah. I mean, there's not even like, the midpoint moment where it seems like she can't, is there? Like,
no, that's a huge moment in the original Black Panther. And they don't really have anything like that here. Honestly, there's just so much to deal with in this movie. There's so many characters to handle. And I think this is when you run into trouble with having like Riri Williams and I don't know, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character taking up screen time here.
Can we sidebar about Julia Louis-Dreyfus for a moment?
Absolutely. I want to.
So she's been around for a while now. I mean, for several appearances.
Ish. I think she showed up first in Winter Soldier. She's definitely in a few more of those streaming shows, and now she's in one of the films.
And she was in the after credit scene of Black Widow.
That's right. Yes.
Was that her first? No, she had to be. So I think she's been around long enough to say that there's something off here.
It'd be nice if they gave her a character to play or something.
Right. She is a countess, but also she's like the head of she's a distinctly like European sounding named Countess. Countess, who is also the head of the American security apparatus. Like,
I guess I don't know what her relationship to any form of government is or who she's working for. I mean, I guess they kind of cleared that up a little in this movie, but I'm not comfortable with any of those answers. I couldn't tell you what they are. Was she actually married to Martin Freeman's character, Everett Ross, or was that just an one-off joke? I'm not entirely sure.
No, I mean, that wasn't a joke. I suppose they could say it was for an operation of some sort when they were, doing spy stuff or something. But no, I mean, I took that at face value, and actually, I mean, I saw that coming. I was like, okay, they could do something with that, and maybe they'll give us a little more of like, finally give us a sense of who this person really is, or kind of what they want, or anything. And it didn't produce anything, any insight into the character.
No.
The strange thing for me is that for as much as I think the entire MCU project is a sprawling, interlocking, epic, like sitcom, and Julie Louis-Dreyfus is one of the greatest, most gifted sitcom actors in history.
Mm-hmm.
She still seems like just not a good fit for it somehow, and I can't figure out why that is.
I mean, if they gave us one scene of her actually like doing something or working toward, I guess they have done that, and they've just been very underwhelming scenes.
Working towards something incredibly nebulous.
Yeah, I guess she's working towards whatever the Thunderbolts thing is going to be. I guess she's manipulating people. I guess she wants some sort of I don't know. She seems to have some sort of colonial aims on behalf of the United States in this, with regards to vibranium, and that would place her pretty firmly in an antagonist role in the MCU, one of the main villains of this run of films and shows or whatever we're in. I guess, but she's a bad guy. I don't know.
It appears entirely ineffectual in that capacity.
Yeah.
Even Thanos, like in his like whatever it was 6 or 8 years of just like post-credit stinger existence, at least we knew he was trying to collect rocks. Right. I guess Julia Louis-Dreyfus is collecting second and third generation legacy heroes, I guess, sort of, except none of them seem to have fully signed on with her, at least in the scenes we get. It's always like she approaches them and they don't answer and the scene cuts away.
I mean, it's not unlike how they handled like Samuel L. Jackson in the early films.
That's definitely what they're trying to parallel.
It's just notably less good. It's less compelling, and I don't really have a relationship with this character. I understand the comics. She is Madam Hydra. That also sounds bad. So I assume it's going to come to a head in one of these films, probably Thunderbolts, or maybe it'll be a show, and I'll be like, I'm glad they set up all that Countess Valentina Allegra. I don't know her name. I think I got pretty close, but yeah, it's MCU housekeeping stuff that is not working at all.
It's housekeeping stuff that isn't actually cleaning up the house at all. It's just leaving me as confused as ever.
It's kind of moving things around. Yes.
House shuffling.
Cut all that. I mean, I guess you can't because you need it, and that's why the movie has to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. But I have no need for any of that, and it's not got me excited about the further adventures of this character or where I'm going to see her next at all. And it seems like it would be fun to bring in Julia Louis-Dreyfus to play a villain of some kind.
Absolutely. On paper, it works great.
But they have to do something with her. They have to give her something to play or something interesting to want or work towards, or I don't know, even just some funny dialogue would be nice. They've given her nothing at all. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I think everyone would agree on that at this point.
For sure. We got, maybe the most interesting thing in this movie to me is sort of we are just fading away from it at the very end of the movie, where is M'Baku challenging for the rulership of Wakanda in the final scene before we just cut away to the beach?
Unclear. I guess so. Yeah.
I thought he was her biggest supporter.
Maybe she's. I don't know. She wasn't there to challenge.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe the whole idea is that that he's going to take over. Maybe he'll be the next Black Panther. Maybe. It's not entirely clear to me. They didn't give M'Baku much to do either. Unfortunately, he's another.
I was going to say, but he wouldn't be a Panther, right? Because Panthers are not his tribe. But then
they have gorillas, yeah.
Well, I was going to say he'd be the next Black Man-Ape, but then I thought, holy shit, that sounds bad.
Yeah, they can't do that.
They got M'Baku. So that's let's just stick with that. Was it too cutesy to have him chewing on a carrot like Bugs Bunny during his one of his 2 scenes?
No, I mean that character I think can do shit like that. If no one else is going to, it's nice to have him doing shit like that. Yeah, I remember the first one is kind of funny. The first movie's funny. I mean, most MCU movies are kind of funny, and this one had very little time for that, and I missed that, especially at the runtime. But I think more with him would have been okay. But again, like I was saying, that runtime. So I don't know.
That's true.
He didn't really have a role in this story per se, but he's definitely an actor that hit. So you need him back. I don't know, man. They spent so much time with the Namorites and their backstory and Namor's backstory.
Yeah. I can't believe that Namorita got more screen time than Winston Duke and Daniel Kaluuya combined. Probably more screen time than Lupita Nyong'o. That's wild.
The sidelining of her is the biggest what the fuck for me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was busy. I can't imagine. You're just like, no, I'm busy. I don't want to star in Black Panther 2.
I mean, it's possible that she just said no. Like, I don't want to sign, a 4-picture deal to do a trilogy of Black Panther movies. And Letitia Wright was like, well, shit, I'll do it.
I guess so. Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it. Who knows? Where it's some pure speculation at this point.
Right. But I mean, it just seems to me like you've got a legitimate giant movie star and a great actress, like right there. Go with her. She's really good at this stuff. She always has been. She's already an Oscar winner. Can definitely pull off the action stuff. Whatever. I mean, they did understood what they had with Angela Bassett.
They did. Yeah. Get credit there.
Yeah,
they gave her a.
They gave her a hell of a lot, and it's just that role. It's the parent figure who dies, which is such an MCU trope at this point. I think they've all had some parent that died. At one point.
I was genuinely shocked that they went through with that they killed her, because it's all like with T'Challa and Boseman already gone. Like there was enough death and grief hanging over this movie already that like this is one case where I'm like, I don't even know if you need to kill the parental figure to really like isolate or challenge this character the way that normally works.
I guess I'm not into it either, because Angela Bassett, one of their best assets, with Wakanda going forward with it, with this movie on its own, and B, it's just like they've done it so many times at this point. They just put her in the tradition of Odin or John Slattery or I don't know. I'm Michael Douglas probably in the next movie, or how many dead parents? There's more that I'm not thinking of.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you don't count Uncle Ben because they didn't show that one, but the ancient one, I suppose, would count as one.
Yondu.
Yondu,
sure. But it's just a rite of passage.
Yeah. This is classical adventure storytelling. There can't be that safety net there forever for the heroes as they're growing up. But yeah, this one, I mean, I guess the other thing it does, maybe I'm talking myself into it actually being better for this story, because it sets up the, maybe a little too precise parallel between Shuri and T'Challa, allowing their parents' murderers to live.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, that was an actual like emotional challenge for Shuri, and firmly cast Namor like okay, maybe we're not going to make friends with Namor in this movie after all.
And yeah, it allows for the dream sequence with Michael B. Jordan, which
that's the other thing, which
pretty great.
One of the other best parts of the movie. Like, okay, I guess you don't get two of the best parts of this movie if you don't actually, if you pull that punch.
And even Angela Bassett's death scene is very good, actually. Yeah. The swing back down to grab Riri. Best thing Riri does in the movie is almost die.
I keep forgetting that she was in this movie.
Yeah.
It's so just like, what is a character trait of Riri Williams? I guess smart is the character trait. That's all we got. Like, I think it would have been determined. Determined to what though? She doesn't. I guess she wants to get home. She talks about being home. Like, it seems like either she should have been a full blown like Wakanda fangirl, and like, oh my gosh, like I'm finally here, but I've I've been fantasizing about living in Wakanda my whole life or whatever. and sort of disillusioned with what the Namor conflict brings up out of that. Maybe that's something, or she could be anti-Wakanda. So like what, like maybe she's mad, sort of like Killmonger was, that great, you got all these fancy toys, what'd you ever do for us? I'm living on the south side of Chicago or wherever, and you didn't help me ever. And there's some conflict there of her now getting dragged around by the Wakandans, but it's just somewhere right in the middle where she's kind of like, yeah, you guys seem cool, but also I don't really want to be in the middle of this war, but I'll fight like at the drop of a hat. Let me fire a few missiles at the FBI real quick.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's down, the lack of definition of character is down to the point where, like, when she spends a lot of this movie talking about wanting to go home, and I'm going to go home now. Even at the end of the movie, I'm like, but where are you going? Like, where's home? Because they picked you up from Cambridge, Massachusetts, but you've mentioned Chicago a couple of times. So I don't even know what part of the country you're going back to.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have no answer for you. The character is probably the one that works least in the movie. It's didn't happen. There'll be a show about her next year.
Yeah, there's. I mean,
then we'll find out.
I'll get everything. I'll get definition there eventually. Yeah. For all that, like I said, I put this maybe in like the bottom half of the MCU, but not particularly low. Yeah, it's pretty close to the middle.
Middle.
No place of special, ignominy or anything.
No.
We just been talking about what doesn't work, because that stuff's more interesting than what does, which is that these characters still kind of work from before.
Mm-hmm. And that Michael B. Jordan scene, it's great. It's surprising. It's well acted. It's the only thematically on point thing in the whole movie. It's really has a solid take and builds on these characters in an interesting way. And it's well acted, and it's good to get that character back in because he was so effective, and especially if you can't have Chadwick Boseman. So yeah, better. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I remember. I like this movie. I do. I'm finding it hard to express like anything that is truly exceptional about it, and I don't mind that really. It's fine. This is like we say, middle tier, and it's okay. That's middle tier.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It had nowhere to go but down in a lot of ways,
right?
Which is kind of unfair and unfortunate, but
it made so much.
I guess
money.
It had some way to go up, just because I think Phase 4 has been so messy that it could have sort of elevated it and brought some a little more clarity and focus to these proceedings. But it sort of got back down in some of the same crap that just did. Well, we got to introduce a new teenage version of an old hero here. In this movie, it's already about introducing a younger version of the old hero that's taking up the mantle. Like,
yeah. It
feels so schematic at this point for that all these movies are just doing that exact same thing.
It's odd that it feels so schematic, but because this is such a weird, expansive, new kind of way of operating for the MCU. Phase 4 has been all about expanding and changing, and here's new formats of storytelling, and here's new kinds of stories, and here's new characters, and we're taking a lot of big swings. I mean, this is, I think, the last Phase 4 entry, whatever technically we're calling Phase 4. No, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special will be the end of Phase 4, technically.
I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. That's like a few weeks away, but then
that is close.
Yeah, Ant-Man is Phase 5 technically. So I guess we can kind of speak about the whole of this thing and what a mess it's been. But I mean, it's not for a lack of ambition, not for a lack of trying. I don't think a single film released in this phase has been out and out bad. The problem is that none of them have been great. Like none of them.
Well, does Eternals count as this phase?
Yeah, it does totally. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a bad movie.
I kind of liked. I didn't love, that's for sure. It's certainly not great, but it's a weird one. You know what? That one, you can call that one bad. That's fine.
Yeah, I know you're not going to die on this hill.
No. But
it's also one of the ones that's falls in the wrong side of that line of this is a Marvel movie taking itself a little too seriously, and like you need those jokes in there. Like this is some weird goofy shit.
I mean, the jokes in that feel bad too.
Yes,
What a weird movie. What a strange. The characters don't really matter. They are Power Rangers versions of mythic archetype figures.
Right.
Fighting CGI wolf beasts that shoot worms at them, and it's also sort of a contemplative movie about environmental respect. And trolley problem, moral equivalencies. It's a weird one. I
also like one of 5 new secret hidden civilizations that actually run the world type of things that Phase 4 is introduced.
And they're really there's like 12 of them. There's way too many Eternals in that movie, and they're all just sort of they're these one name kind of. They have like their color coded outfits. You're right, bad movie. But it's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure.
Yeah, it's a swing. I will give him that much.
Yeah.
But not all swings hit. That one missed. And another one that's a swing, I feel like, that didn't hit is the She-Hulk show that we never talked about.
I like the She-Hulk show. This one I will go to bat for. Pretty good.
Well, can you just talk to me for a few minutes about the finale specifically?
Oh, why you got to put it in finale terms. Shit. Well, that's one of the most indefensible parts of She-Hulk.
I think some people were into it.
I mean, it's not. I was okay with it. It really did seem like just a punt on everything that they were building up. They were just sort of like, well, what if we just fuck all that stuff? What if we just...
They weren't building up anything. See, this is my thing. Okay, I actually kind of like that because finally, I was frustrated throughout the season that I didn't feel like they were doing enough with the fourth wall breaks. I was like, why are you just doing like 2 Malcolm in the Middle jokes every episode? As like, if you're going to destroy the suspension of disbelief by doing Ferris Bueller style fourth wall breaks, do more with that concept. And the finale certainly did more with it. That's the time when they did, to the point they went full Blazing Saddles with the finale. And I'm like, okay, that's more. You're finally taking a swing. But the reason why I think that missed for me, one, I mean, by now you've heard me complain about not liking meta stuff plenty of times.
Sure.
But in this case, especially, I don't know, it seemed a little too, I guess this is my problem with meta a lot of the times, it seems a little too pleased with itself. And there's some cute bits in there. The Kevin Feige being represented by a robot algorithm is kind of cute, although
kind of fun.
Maybe not as much of a knee slapper as they think it is. I don't know. Like the showrunner of that show, Jessica Gao, was a writer on Rick and Morty that I feel like deals in this stuff every single episode in a more intelligent, faster paced, actually funnier capacity.
I would agree. I would say that this show could use if they just dialed up the Rick and Morty like 3 notches. I think would probably be the show I want most from She-Hulk.
Yeah, not that, I mean, it doesn't need to be like rated, like, R-rated or anything like raunchy the way that Rick and Morty is, but maybe like the pacing could stand to be a bit more manic.
Yeah, and just sort of, surprise me sometimes, do some really inventive kind of surprising episodes, that Rick and Morty is able to do that. I mean, it has free range as an animated show, but, of course, these are pretty close to animated shows at this point.
But
just do some weird finale, shit, Oh no, we're in an alien world for an episode. Well, I guess that would resolve that pretty quick. That's fine. I think you can do that on She-Hulk because it's a goofy show.
I would say not goofy enough for my taste.
No, I agree with you. I think this needs to lean into that. Lean into being the thing that doesn't take itself seriously. And can kind of just break canon and be goofy, and if people get pissed, that's fine. I think that's a fun place for that show to be. And when it worked best, it was that.
Yeah, I think it succeeded in pissing plenty of people off.
Yeah, it did.
But not really for the right reasons, in my opinion.
No.
And the thing is, if you're going to make that case to like, oh, just let us be the goofy comedy, like that would be a great point to make and end on. The problem is you have to make a case for yourself as that thing. And to do that, the goofy sitcom show, I think, should have had me laughing more frequently than, I don't know, Ant-Man and the Wasp or the Hawkeye show. The things that are just middle tier Marvel stuff is all, kind of comedies already. And for the most part, I think they tend to be pretty funny. And She-Hulk wasn't like any more funny than that, or more aggressively, going back to the manic pacing thing. Like, I think it needed to be more out there in order to make that strong a case for itself as something different.
I mean, it was definitely something different. I mean, I wouldn't say it was great. It certainly wasn't great, but I mean, I felt like the tone they were aiming for was Boston legal, Ally McBeal, 90s David R. Kelly, attractive young lawyers having goofy lawyer adventures together with some superhero stuff. And I thought that it kind of hit the tone of those shows that I'm not a big fan of pretty well.
Well, maybe that's the thing. I feel, I think I kind of wanted to be Ally McBeal for kids, though, which is
well, definitely. Of course it wants to be that. Yes. Because it has, it's a Disney Marvel Hulk thing, it has giant green characters, and it has, they want to sell She-Hulk toys, I'm sure, or empowering She-Hulk Halloween costumes, perhaps. I don't know. I think that all that stuff actually worked pretty good. I thought Tatiana Maslany was very good in the role. I thought that the sort of,
she's great.
Aside from the opening, the first episode with Mark Ruffalo, I thought they kind of hit the sort of cultural zeitgeist exactly right in a lot of ways, and I was impressed by that. I like that the bad guys were sort of guys who were angry about She-Hulk on the internet. I thought that was funny.
I thought that was a good idea. Yeah, that had it hit from time to time. I just I wanted this comedy to be funnier.
Yeah, I mean,
and to use Renee Elise Goldsberry a little better.
Mm-hmm. I'm weird in that I actually liked all the Disney Plus shows this year. I liked Moon Knight more than most people. I liked Miss Marvel about as much as other people, and I like She-Hulk a bit more than most people. I have positive things to say about and Thor this year, by the way. If you recall our episode on that, I'm the only person in the world to like Love and Thunder. The one I was most excited for was Multiverse of Madness, and it was my biggest disappointment.
Yeah. Well, there's a lesson there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's about Phase 4 is really for us. We're resetting my expectations back to where, even like Phase 2, where I was like, oh, wow, they're really making this work. I can't believe Iron Man 3 is better than the last ones, and the Guardians of the Galaxy worked. That was the pleasant surprises there.
It's hard to be surprised by these guys anymore. I mean, there's no question about that. Like, I can't even imagine. And I think that's what this phase was missing, was a great film. There wasn't one. Spider-Man is, I think, the best thing that came out in Phase 4, and it's not great. It's solid. It's fun. We enjoyed it. It's, I wouldn't put it's not in top tier MCU. None of these are.
No, you're right. It's the best. And I enjoyed the Hawkeye show. For what that's worth. And Miss Marvel was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, even Love and Thunder, you're right. I was a detractor on that episode between the two of us, but I think it's haters could settle down a little bit.
I mean, I accept. I haven't watched it again. I haven't had the courage. I don't want to come back and be like, God damn it, everyone was right. I was defending the dumb thing. But I it's cute. It's fun. It's fine. It's whatever.
It's the cute and fun stuff that I'm remembering easier. It's helping in my mind, that in my memory anyway, that the dumb stuff is just sort of fading away. I don't know if I want to go confront myself with it again right away.
Right, exactly. But that's the thing. I'll see it again in a few years, I'm sure. But
to tie it back to Wakanda Forever, though, like I said, it's sort of in the middle of the MCU pack. However, there are some Marvel movies that I would say without reservation are worse movies that I am more likely to revisit.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
I mean, partially on just the basis of being 40 minutes shorter.
Helps. and and lighter on its feet. This is not a light film.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's near the top of the Phase 4 pack. Damning with faint praise. I'd put it over Shang-Chi. I'd put it. It's probably my favorite movie that came out other than Spider-Man in Phase 4.
I guess I put it on par with Love and Thunder, although that their strengths and weaknesses are so like reversed that it seems weird to call that a draw.
You're coming around on Love and Thunder. There's moments in that movie that are, I don't know if they intended them to be funny, but are very funny. Like Thor getting bad news in the cancer ward, stuff like that. I'm sorry, Thor, I've got bad news. It's just an odd thing to see,
It is, because it's played kind of straight the way nothing is. That's you know what? It's all just hype and expectations, because what's making me softer on Lemon these days is just how rapidly hated I've seen it be. And whereas in the immediate release of Wakanda Forever, I've seen a lot more like fawning praise for it than Knives Out.
It's a hard movie to be against. I mean,
I guess if you're racist or you're sexist,
sure.
That's another really cool thing about it, actually, is that it is entirely female driven on top of everything else.
There's half a dozen significant black women in this movie. That doesn't happen in movies about black women generally. That's a huge cast to star in a movie of this size, and most of them acquit themselves really well.
And it doesn't beat its chest about that. And, make points about rubbing, I don't know, Martin Freeman's face. I don't know whose it would be.
Namor's probably.
You could have made Namor a misogynist. No, but he's got to represent this whole cultural thing.
You wish that your brother was still around so you wouldn't have to. Yeah, like Gary Oldman in Air Force One, basically. They could have
bringing it back to Air Force One, John.
Always. So next year, what do we got? We got Ant-Man and the Quantum Mania in February, I think. That's the first.
I believe so. After that, I don't have any keeping track of these anymore. My stepson will tell me when a new one's coming out, and I'll go see it.
I want to see if I can name off the top of my head next year. I don't have Phase 5, but next year, I believe we're getting that. We're getting the Guardians of the Galaxy in May. That's for sure. Is there a Blade coming out next year?
Well, maybe? So we're skipping past the holiday special, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Right. Well, that's this year.
Okay.
But yeah, that's next. That's
starting
next
on
thing.
the new year.
That's the next thing, and that'll be fun, I'm sure. And so we got I think there's another one too. I think there's a fourth film coming out next year. It's not Thunderbolts. It's not.
There's a What If season 2 coming out.
Yes.
There's Secret Invasion on Disney Plus.
There's Echo. Yeah. And there's Daredevil.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, look. Eventually, I'm just going to skip one of these, and it's definitely going to be Echo.
Yeah. Daredevil, Born Again next year. 18 episodes.
Yeah.
That'll be kind of fun, or not. I don't know. 18's a lot of episodes.
They say next summer there's going to be a Loki season 2.
Right, another season of Loki.
The Marvels in the summer.
That's the other one. Marvels in the summer. Yeah, and then I presume Blade will be in the fall. It got pushed back, didn't it? Everything got reshuffled, so it might just be those three.
Whew. I mean,
it's work, man. It's that's the problem. You've said this before. When they flooded the market with all this content, that's when this became an overwhelming ordeal and a chore to get through.
Yeah. Which people, I remember people complaining about flooding the market back in 2013 or so, and it didn't feel like a chore back then. But it's the Disney Plus era is what suddenly there's no breaks.
Is it because we have kids now? Is it because we have little babies that we got to take care of, and we're just like, God, I got to fit in. Another episode of She-Hulk. Oh shit,
Yeah, that's definitely part of it, but I don't know. I feel like the fatigue was starting to set in even before my daughter was born. Just because the streaming series are, weeks long, and also none of them have been consistently good, top to bottom.
As with the movies, there wasn't a single great one. Yeah, then that's notable. And it would help if there was an Andor that had come out of the MCU. That would be cool. Oh, by the way, Andor's the best. Andor just
by the way,
completely rules. Yeah.
Stay tuned for Andor episode.
Yeah.
Coming to your feed very soon. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, folks, do what you can to help us out. What you can do is rate our show on your little podcast app on your phone right in front of you. Or if you're feeling very, in this season of giving, write us a little review on iTunes. It would help us gain some visibility on there where we have absolutely none. Just, tell us who your favorite legacy Marvel hero is this week.
Who's yours, Al?
Ooh, Kate Bishop, I guess.
I think it might be mine too.
I think that's the most successful version of, sort of same powers, totally different personality. Not really. And I like that she doesn't really have any personal connection to Hawkeye. It's not his daughter or, I don't know, adopted daughter or cousin, I guess is what She-Hulk is. It makes some sense for there to be some familial connections between, I guess, Hulk and She-Hulk or the various Black Panthers. But just somebody else who liked archery. And so naturally Hawkeye would become her idol. But she's so totally different, and they had a good contrast.
Pretty good.
I can tell you like 5 things about her character, like just personality.
Right.
I
pick her as well. Unless I don't know, does Wiccan count? Can I pick Wiccan from WandaVision?
Wait, is that one of her kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
I picked Wiccan. I think
sure.
He's the magicer one, I guess. I don't know.
Is one of them Quicksilver? Is one of them's a speed kid?
Well, no, because Quicksilver is her brother, but I think it's still a speed guy.
No, but it's the same powers. It's Quicksilver Part 2. Yeah,
he's the legacy Quicksilver.
You like Legacy Quicksilver?
I know, I like Legacy Scarlet Witch. Wiccan.
Okay.
That's dumb. Why are there so many of those? I guess they're going to make a movie. Okay. Cool. And we'll watch it and talk about it, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah. MCU. Good times. Thanks for listening, everybody.